You should remember from a previous video that shapes that are identical in shape and in size we call congruent. Shapes that are identical in shape but differ in size we call similar. So they're a similar shape. Here's an example. These two shapes, squares, are similar in their shape because they are both squares, but one of them is twice the size of the other. It has a length of 2 centimeters on each side rather than 1 centimeter. So we say that these two shapes are similar and have been enlarged by a scale factor of 2. So for any pair of similar figures, the corresponding sides are the same ratio. So in this case, as it's a square, both of the sides have been enlarged by a scale factor of 2, and so they both go from 1 centimeter to 2 centimeter, and the corresponding angles are equal. So the angles were 90 degrees, they are 90 degrees in the corresponding figure, in the similar figure. For other shapes such as triangles, obviously the angles will remain the same, won't be 90 degrees always, but they will remain the same as they were in the original figure. And for shapes like a rectangle, for example, the long side and the short side will stay in the same ratio to each other in the similar figure. Let's use some examples to make sure we can recognize similar figures. Here's a set of shapes. We want to find the odd one out of these shapes. So the first thing to do is obviously find the pairs of shapes that match each other. And if we look carefully, we can see there are two square shapes, but they're different sizes, but they are clearly both squares. So let's take those two out of the picture. Then we can see that there are two L-shaped shapes. One is turned 90 degrees around from the other one and is smaller, but they are still similar shapes. So they match off together, so let's get rid of them. We're now left with three triangles. On the face of it, because they're all triangles, maybe they're similar, but if you look, the large one up in the top right is the same shape, it's a flatter one as the one at the bottom, and so those two shapes are the similar ones, which leaves us with the one triangle, which is the odd one out because it doesn't have a similar shape in that set. It's important that you can match up similar shapes even when they are clearly of different sizes and maybe have been rotated or reflected. Remember, for any pair of similar shapes, corresponding sides are in the same ratio and the corresponding angles are equal to each other. This can be quite tricky to recognize if the shapes have been rotated. So if you're in any doubt, move the paper around so you can see it at the same angle as the original shape. Remember, shapes are only congruent if they are exactly the same shape and the same size as each other. So don't confuse a shape being similar, where the size can be different, with shapes being congruent, where the sizes have to be the same. They are two very different things mathematically. We'll use this information later to solve some problems involving shapes.